Well, 2026 seems like the year for Conan fans. First, we got an official announcement that the OG Conan, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is set to rule again as King Conan after over 4 decades, with Christopher McQuarrie as writer and director. Arnold told People, "Next year we are going to do King Conan. That is a reality now, and I am excited about it." That news alone made fans lose their minds with excitement, and now we have an exciting new update about yet another Conan project. This time around, he is ready to dominate the television, and Prime Video has declared that a new animated series based on Robert E. Howard's iconic sword and sorcery character is in the works. It gets even better because we have the animation legend Genndy Tartakovsky, known for Dexter's Laboratory, Samurai Jack, and Hotel Transylvania, among others, helming the project. I absolutely can't keep calm, so let's check out everything we know about this upcoming show titled Conan the Barbarian, Queen of the Black Coast.
Conan, the mightiest warrior ever!
Years ago, back in 2008, Genndy first pitched the idea of an animated version of Conan the Barbarian, and various networks were interested in the project. The original idea was for a 2D animated film, and eventually the pitch reached Lionsgate, who at that time distributed Marvel's animated films. But then Lionsgate's executive told Genndy and the team that the ceiling for a Marvel animated project was $400,000, and that was the end of discussion. Sure, they could have taken the notes and scaled it down to make something cheap, but they didn't. Instead, they waited, and for the next decade and a half, the spark for an animated Conan project stayed alive as an ambition. But Genndy had to wait because the era was not right. The American market did not believe that adult animation could carry an IP like Conan, and anime was still a niche thing that did not spread outside a dedicated community of fans. Thankfully, the market gradually evolved, and suddenly, subtitled international content became viable to producers and studios. Thanks to Castlevania for demonstrating that adult animation can in fact sustain serialized narratives. And then Tartakovsky stole the show with his Emmy-winning Adult Swim animated series, Primal. The fantasy series followed the story of the caveman Spear and the T-Rex Fang in a dark prehistoric world. Long before Primal, his series Samurai Jack bagged multiple Primetime Emmy Awards, but yeah, Primal catapulted him into the spotlight even more. Of course, the industry that had once refused his pitch was now more welcoming for an animated Conan series. Finally, in 2022, Tartakovsky signed a cross-studio overall deal with Warner Brothers Animation and Cartoon Network Studios that allows him to develop, create, and produce animated programs for a variety of platforms, and lets him do so either with the original characters or with a Warner Brothers Discovery IP. And finally, Tartakovsky's Conan the Barbarian found a home in Amazon Prime and is being produced by Cartoon Network Studios. In a pre-taped video message that played at the Annecy International Animation Film Festival, Genndy mentioned that, "I've always felt a connection to Howard." And if you think about it, many of Tartakovsky's animated shows actually often revolve around a silent swordsman fighting evil, and Primal especially feels like his personal take on Conan without the actual IP. Primal, like Samurai Jack's use of minimal dialogues, had no words spoken in its first 2 seasons, and Conan too is a man of few words, so it will not be surprising to see him use a similar storytelling approach. Conan first debuted in 1932 in a pulp magazine, Weird Tales story titled The Phoenix on the Sword by Robert E. Howard, and ever since the character has expanded into comics, novels, movies, video games, and television shows. But for Tartakovsky, it will mark the first time that he will be working with a pre-existing IP since his 2003 microseries Clone Wars for Lucasfilm. The official logline reads as, "After finding love in the pirate queen Bailit, a battle-hardened Conan defies gods, fate, and even death to save her from a dark sorcery that threatens to destroy everything." This is all we have for now with the poster released by Prime Video, because the project has just entered development, and I am guessing we have to wait quite some time for a trailer. But let me give you a little more context on the story Genndy chose for the first season. Queen of the Black Coast is by far one of the most emotionally challenging stories Howard ever wrote for Conan the Barbarian. But interestingly, it reveals a lot more about who Conan actually is rather than focusing on his actions and achievements. The story starts in a courtroom, and Conan has been pushed before a magistrate in order to betray his companions. However, he rejected the laws, claiming that they are nothing but tools of the powerful, and refused to acknowledge their authority to enforce them. Of course, attempts were made to arrest him, but he killed his way through and ended up on a merchant ship headed down the coast. By this point, the reader has already realized that Conan is the poster child for my life, my rules. Now, on this ship, Conan meets the pirate queen of the Black Coast, Bêlit. But their dynamic is one of the most complex parts of the story, marked by that of apex predators recognizing each other and choosing love and partnership over competition. Together, they raided and killed people for 3 years, and yes, it will make you question Conan's morality. But Howard did not pen him to be a good man of his time. Rather, he did exactly what he wanted with someone who matches his zeal. The philosophical theme of the story is established through the conversations between Conan and Bêlit, where Conan explains his belief in Crom, the god of the Sumerians. Crom gave one the breath in their lungs and the strength in their arms at birth, and that is the main gift. He also believed that there is no afterlife waiting and no favor can be earned through prayer. What one did with what they were given was the ultimate purpose of existence. This is why Queen of the Black Coast manages to provide an in-depth look into Conan's mind and soul and reshapes him as a man living a life based on an ideology which demands total engagement with the world. Wait, it's time for a big crisis. A dark sorcery threatened to destroy everything, and now, battle-experienced Conan defied everything, God, fate, and even death, to save Bêlit. And somewhere, it justifies why no woman has ever been his match, because destiny was saving him for Bêlit. Now you see why adapting this story would be such a monumental task? But thankfully, if there's anyone who can make it work, it is Genndy. He conveyed intense emotions through visuals and sounds in Primal, and that's exactly why Sam Register, president of both Warner Brothers, said Genndy is a true visionary who embodies the creator spirit of Cartoon Network Studios. As he continues to push the boundaries of storytelling and animation, we are excited to have a front row seat both here and now also at Warner Brothers Animation. See, Prime Video is currently investing quite a lot in fantasy projects like The Lord of the Rings of Power, and the choice to pick up an animated Conan the Barbarian venture might actually be a better option. In fact, when the 1982 live-action movie dropped, it got an R rating from the MPAA because of the nudity and graphic violence. Yet the movie managed to debut at the top spot at the US box office, earning some $9,479,373 over the opening weekend, according to a firm of media analysis. Rentrack Theatrical. But materializing the first live action of Conan the Barbarian was an uphill task. Even if I leave alone how hard director John Milius had to work to get the film on the floors, the blood and sweat of set designer Ron Cobb and storyboard artist William Stout cannot be overlooked. It took about 5 years for pre-production designs to be finalized, and Stout wrote in his journal how he and Cobb deliberately wanted the movie to be scary, and how detailed he was with the concept arts. To quote him, "For Conan, I was trying to kill 2 birds with 1 crow quill. I was designing for real lots of the film's visual elements, costumes, armor, sets, props, etc. At the same time, I was telling our story with my boards. That's, of course, why it was taking me so damn long to do each page." He continued, "You also have to remember that up until Conan the Barbarian, there were no sword and sorcery films. We were making up an entirely new movie genre from scratch. The Europeans in our art department didn't get it. Is it like a gladiator movie? A little bit. Is it like a Viking movie? A little bit. Is it like a samurai movie? A little bit. But when the next movie, Conan the Destroyer, released in 1984, it was toned down to get a PG rating in the hope of reaching more audience. But the result? It got termed as sillier. The consensus Rotten Tomatoes read as Conan the Destroyer softens the edges that gave its predecessor gravitas, resulting in a campy sequel without the comparative thrills. The takeaway is simple. You cannot water down Conan's stories or take away the bloody sequences to make it more palatable for the censors and hope it will attract more moviegoers. True fans would always crave that dark, gritty energy in Conan's stories, and that's where animation comes in as a boon. It can allow the creators to explore Conan's world in ways which are otherwise difficult in live action. For instance, the Hyborian Age, filled with ancient kingdoms, monsters, supernatural threats, and warriors, can be better portrayed in this format. Moreover, a series promises greater time to delve into a more nuanced storytelling and offers plenty of opportunities opportunities for large battles. Tartakovsky will be serving as executive producer and showrunner on Conan the Barbarian, and is joined by other executive producers Fred Malmberg, Derek Bachman, and Mark Wheeler. Fans are excited to see how he handles Conan's supporting characters, because previous adaptations mostly focused on the warrior himself, but Queen of the Black Coast will require an equal amount of emotional anchorage. The show, however, does not have any release date as of yet, and neither do we have any information about the voice cast, animation style, or episode count. But do keep an eye out on our channel and hit the bell icon, because we will be bringing you all the juicy updates. Alright guys, that's all we have for today. I can't explain how happy I am with the upcoming Conan projects as far as the Prime series is concerned. I trust in Tartakovsky, and I know for a fact that Queen of the Black Coast is an amazing story, which deserves every bit of our love. Also, the fact that it is going to be an animated venture gives me a lot more hope about the accurate depictions of Conan's universe. Jump in the comments below and share your thoughts. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!